Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Now in ENC. My name is Victoria Holmes, and I'm here in our digital studio. This is a new segment that we're doing here at WNCT.com, and the point of the segment is basically talking about trending topics in the eastern part of North Carolina. We're also going to invite guests to talk about some of the things that are happening in their communities and explore what exactly is happening in our community. So today I am joined by Mr. Sid Bratcher. Hello, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So can you give a little bit of background information about who you are and what you do?
Right. So my name is Sid Bradsher. I'm the executive director of an organization called Heart for ENC. And what Heart for ENC is an organization that is started to come alongside local nonprofits in this part of the state. We realize there are a lot of great organizations who are doing wonderful work to serve people, to make a difference in our community, and we want to help them achieve their missions. That's really what we're all about.
And how long has Heart for ENC been around?
They have been in existence for about 5 years. I've been in this position for about 3 years. The first couple of years it was run on a voluntary basis and with a smaller scope, but since January of 2018, I've been in this role as executive director. We've been trying our best to reach as many nonprofits in the community as we can.
And so what are some of the partnerships that you have here in ENC?
Well, we've worked with probably over 70 different nonprofits in the past few years, so it's broad. We work with a lot of local nonprofits, most of the ones, really all the ones that you can think of, as far as, Building Hope, Hope of Glory, Pregnancy Center, McDonald House, any general nonprofit you know of, Joy's Soup Kitchen. It's just been fun to come alongside these organizations and build relationships with them, their leaders, and also try to bring practical resources to the table for them so they can more effectively do what they're called to do.
So you say some practical resources. What are some of the wants and the needs of these organizations?
Well, I think there are many areas. I would say that there's lots of different needs, but what we're trying to do is to focus on how to help them grow their capacity. So we provide a good bit of training in development resources. So we partner with an organization from Raleigh to provide kind of quarterly trainings on different topics that really help nonprofit leaders move forward. So it might be board development, it could be, staff leadership development, it could be how to effectively fundraise, marketing, communications. We've hit a number of topics, and we continue to work through some of the best practices of nonprofit leadership. So the training is oriented that way, but then also we spend a lot of time just trying to build relationships with and among nonprofit leaders. I think that's a real important part of what we do is kind of connecting people with each other so that they're not alone. A lot of nonprofit leaders exist almost in a bubble because they're consumed with what they're doing. They're surrounded by the people they serve, and sometimes it's hard to get a chance to pause and look up and see what else is out there. And we're really trying to enable them to have space to do that, to make connections and help them personally, just encouraging them, but also helping them professionally as well. There's a lot of partnerships that are growing, and I love that aspect of what we're doing.
And there's the way that we met was at a Friday coffee hour, the Friday coffee hour that you host at, is it always at Great Harvest?
It is, yes.
Okay, so what is the point of that coffee hour? Who shows up? What goes on there?
Well, again, it's really just a chance to give nonprofit leaders a place to connect. So for us, that's it's just hanging out and enjoying breakfast together. Sometimes we'll bring in a resource. It might be we bring in a lawyer to come talk to us, or someone who does marketing, or someone that's good at building business plans. Just try to bring resources to the table whenever we can. But really, more than anything, it's a chance to connect and just say, this is who I am. This is what I'm dealing with today. And this morning we had a small group, but it was a great conversation just about what this one young lady's struggling with in her role. And so she has questions, and we're able to listen and talk through things and offer advice. And sometimes it's just support. Sometimes we just sit and share a life together. But I think the intent is to build relationships that enable nonprofit leaders to connect, outside their circles they're in, 4 to 5 days a week when they're working. So I think the partnerships are really the value of it.
And what do you see as a reoccurring theme or challenge that a lot of these organizations are facing?
Well, a number of things, but really it's engagement. That's one of the things we really try our best to help with, and that's just finding ways to find the people in the community who can be the resources they need. Sometimes it's financial for sure, but also it's volunteers, it's board members, it's people to help the organizations process some of just the challenges they face. When you're building an organization, you might have to figure out a business plan, or how to more effectively market, or how to take care of your people, how to feed them, professionally as well as spiritually or other ways. So we try to continue to find ways to bring resources like that to the table. And I love the way that what we've learned is that everybody has gifts and experiences, even when they don't know that. And I think it's just putting people together in a room and enable them to talk about their needs and their gifts. You begin to see partnerships. You begin to realize there are relationships between these organizations that have really become valuable. I think that's a hallmark for the nonprofit community in this area, is that they are, a number of them, very well connected, and that really is empowering.
Mm-hmm. And so, kind of more on a personal level, how do you feel when you're in this role and connecting these resources with the organizations? What is that kind of like stake in the game for you?
Well, I love it. I really am convinced of the truth that an engaged life is a full life. From my faith perspective, a verse that means a ton to me is a verse in Mark chapter 8, verse 35. Jesus says, if whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake and for the gospel will find it. And I think there's just a promise in that. It basically says, if you're willing to give yourself away, if you're willing to serve and do for others, then your life is going to be more full, more fun, more meaningful. And I think a lot of people live life just kind of, you go to work, you go home, you do your thing, you take care of your family. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think there's just an abundance of potential in our world where we can make a difference, and it can help other people, but also it'll help us intrinsically. So when I have a chance to connect someone, a resource with a need, and see those two connect and find meaning, I love that. So that really gives me life. So personally speaking, I love that moment when there's someone who's able to engage in a way that they haven't before, and it helps the organization, but also it really helps the individual because it just gives them purpose and it's fun.
Mm-hmm. I can totally relate to that, and in a different sense as a journalist, when I'm out doing a story and I see the story that I do somehow impact the community in a positive way or bring attention to something that needed attention, then I totally can relate to that passion and that where you just feel fulfilled in a way. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's more fun when you do stuff.
That is very true. It is. Exactly, yeah. So kind of just wrapping up this interview because I don't want to take up too much of your time, but are there any events, are there any volunteer events, are there any resources that people in the East can go to find a way to help out these organizations?
Well, absolutely. So we are consistently providing training events. Right now, we just started a quarter of training that's going to be focused on staff leadership and leadership development. So the past 2 weeks, we've hosted kind of we call them large group workshops, or a 3-hour intensive workshop that's everything you want to know and more about staff leadership and development. And now for the next 6 weeks, we'll basically have every other week, we'll have a smaller version of that. So we'll have a series of 6 more workshops between now and mid-June. So those are coming. So if you want to know more about that, come to our website, heartforenc.org, or certainly reach out to me in any way. But that's practical stuff that's coming for nonprofits. But then also just we're always seeking to find community people to engage with nonprofits. So if I try to position ourselves as a resource for nonprofit engagement. So if you're interested in knowing about how to get involved with nonprofits or what's out there, what are the needs, we can help you with that. We have a nonprofit resource guide that kind of highlights about 30 nonprofits in the community. We'd love for you to see that and learn about organizations, learn about their needs. So really, I think connecting is really what we're all about. We certainly are committed to equipping and empowering nonprofits, but also from a community standpoint, it's how to get connected and how to make a difference. So we'd love to help with that.
Right, exactly. And with summer coming around the corner and with people getting vaccinated and some of the not hallmarks, but the goals of certain political leaders, I think Governor Cooper said he wants everything open by June 1st. So there are definitely a lot of people will have free time to get out and about and try to get back to the community. So yeah. Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
Get involved with nonprofits. We'd love to help you do it.
Exactly. And I'll be sure to link Heart for ENC, y'all's website and any social media accounts. I'll be sure to link that to the article below. Thank you so much, Sid, for joining us, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday.